Okay, now we talk about Scrum meetings. Scrum meetings are something that I cannot encourage strongly enough. They have completely changed the way I manage my teams. They have completely decreased the amount of stress that I experience and that my team experiences. And it also creates a space where talking about bandwidth, talking about what can and cannot be achieved in the time allotted is not only welcome, it is mandatory. And that is huge because it allows much more transparency about what personnel is being used, how, and it takes into consideration that there are only so many hours in a day and that we all have other lives other than the practice of law. And that, if there is one thing everyone can agree on, is that the practice of law is too stressful, in part because it seeps into every aspect of our lives. And because there is this continuous ego-driven refusal to admit this is too much work for me. You need to give it to someone else. And if you have a good legal project manager, the person doesn't have to say that. The legal project manager invites that comment by saying, you have a lot on your plate right now. I don't think it's doable in the time that we have. We need to reassess and we need to reallocate. And it's a welcome part of the conversation. So Scrum meetings. Again, this is where we're shifting, right? I'm going to talk about what it looks like in an agile, a pure agile project management methodology, and then what it looks like when you're dealing with cases. So in Scrum meetings, there are roles within your team. And let's just be clear, a team is 5 to 9 people. So it's 7 plus or minus 2, right? The magic number is about 7 people. If your Scrum team is bigger than that, you need to break it up. And that's just the method. That is just the technique. You say, we are too many here. And how do you know what's one of the reasons you're going to be too many? Because there is no way that more than that many people will be able to effectively report in the format of a Scrum meeting. And I'm going to tell you what that is in a moment, if there are more than them and they have to do it within 15 minutes, right? The point is that fewer people means fewer line of communications, means less information. If you need to have more people, there's a technique to do that. It's called Scrum of all Scrums, which means that you have different groups. They have their 15-minute meetings separately. One person from each group comes into a SOS, Scrum of all Scrums, SOS, and in 15 minutes, they report to each other what each of their teams has reported to them. And that way, and the relevant pieces of information that everybody else on the Scrum of all Scrums needs to know, right? And that's how you ensure you don't have 25 people where 4 are having a conversation and the other 21 wish they had just gotten an email when it was all over. Okay, so what are the roles at a Scrum meeting? First, there's a Scrum Master, and that is the keeper of the process, the advocate for the team, the protector of the team. They remove obstacles, they facilitate team communication, they mediate discussions within the team, and they negotiate with those external to the team. Above all, they exist in service to the team. In a law firm, that is the legal project manager. It cannot be the managing attorney because a managing attorney is not in service to the team. They have different priorities. They have different goals. The LPM is truly the facilitator. They are the guarder. To me, my role when I'm LPM, when I'm serving in that role at our meetings, I am the guardian of my team's sanity and bandwidth. And I am a litigator as well. And so when I ask someone to do something, I wouldn't ask of it of myself. And I have learned the hard way to be healthy and sane about what I ask of myself. Within a Scrum team, there's also a product owner. The product owner represents the voice of the customer. So in our case, it'd be the voice of the client. That is more the managing attorney, right? They're kind of the voice of the client. They're the voice of the case. They have authority to make decisions about the product, the case strategy. This person owns the product backlog and is responsible for communicating the vision, okay, the case strategy, and the backlog. Now, I'm the keeper of the backlog on my cases, But how do I populate the backlog? I talk to the managing attorney on the case and I ask them, what's the vision? What's the strategy? What are we doing? And I put those tasks on the backlog. They come from their vision. Those tasks come from their, we need to send a subpoena to the county. And in this case, remember, we got to send a subpoena to those people. And then remember, we're going to need an expert on this. And also in these types of cases, we need an expert on that, and try to talk to that expert because I like them. That conversation happens with me. It doesn't happen during the Scrum, but the contents of the conversation ends up on the backlog. Then there's the team, 7 plus or minus 2 people who are jointly responsible for the delivery of the product. Those are your associates, your senior associates, your paralegals, your law clerks, your interns. They work together as a team to deliver the various products, motions, exhibits, outlines, correspondence, filing, so on and so forth, okay? They are self-organizing, meaning that the structure appears without explicit intervention from the outside. And that's true in a law firm, right? If there's a motion to be drafted, you're not going to ask the law clerk to do it. It is self-organizing based on what each person has duties and responsibilities for. And then the team owns how it chooses to build the product features, okay? So you say you have a paralegal who's fantastic at exhibits. I mean, like, amazing. Like, she can organize 550 exhibits and they're beautiful and all that jazz. You're like, okay, you're on exhibits. Cool. Yeah. You have another associate who's like a phenomenal, writer. Okay. Or you have an associate that you feel hasn't been given as many opportunities as other people. And you can say, you know what? You get to write this one. I want to see a draft. I want to see it 10 days early to make sure that I can spend a little time with you because I haven't seen you do this before. But this is how you can allocate work in a way that makes sense.